I'm sure you heard about the Toronto principal who took his own life after being accused of being a racist, but have you ever considered that maybe the accusations are correct and I have evidence? This is a touchy situation, so I'm going to spoil the ending for you. He's associated with the same organization that's working in Florida to change the education policy, which is why now in Florida you have to say that slavery is a good thing. So he's 60, he's retired, and he was at an anti-racism training seminar. And the point that he brought up was valid enough in its own right. He was just saying that Canada is not as racist as America. And if you leave it there, yeah, the story sounds awful. But it seems as though he was showing off his white fragility with a bit of a victim complex, because when people were talking about how this was a good example of modeling the discomfort around racism, he took it personally. But yes, talking about racism should be uncomfortable, because the person that he was talking to was the head of the Kojo Institute, a black woman. And what she pointed out is that while they were there to talk about anti-black racism, he as a white person doesn't really have a place to tell her how she experiences racism in Canada. Like, white people do not get to comment on the subjectivity of the racism experienced by black people. That is something we should all understand. And the principal was also the founding member and creator of the Toronto chapter of the Foundation Against Intolerance and Racism, which makes it sound like he's a really solid dude, except FAIR is an American organization created in 2021 specifically designed to fight against CRT. And one of the founding members of FAIR was Christopher Rufo, who has been working directly with Ron DeSantis to change education in Florida. Like, for perspective, Christopher Rufo is against gay marriage. He thinks that we shouldn't be talking about LGBTQ people in school. And on top of that, he thinks that we shouldn't even be teaching evolution in school. Instead, we should be teaching intelligent design or creationism. It is a tragedy that this man took his life. And I'm not saying that he is a bad person. But when a black woman trained in anti-racism tells a white man that he needs to learn and understand something about anti-black racism, and then he all of a sudden takes it as a mental health episode, that is not telling of the institution that led the training seminar. That's telling of the individual who received the feedback. Because I was in a very, very similar situation to this guy when I was 19 years old at university. And you know what I did instead? I listened to my BIPOC peers and I became a better person. And in turn, I became a better teacher, a better educator, a better mentor. So maybe, just maybe, whenever the National Post or the Toronto Sun runs an article like this with a headline like this, maybe we should be reading past the headline.